Hello there, how's your day? I'm Ame Gakita. Alright, today we are going to talk about something that I have not been done for quite a long while since the last time when I brought up the advice for content creator is basically at that time I say you do need to do a proper research. Like you have to, no matter what, when you create a content, you have to like research a lot of things, understand a lot of things before you put out the content. But at the same time, right now, I feel like I should also talk about a little bit of like elaborate on that situation, which basically do not cherry pick. I mean, like sure, I mean like I may say like you do not want to cherry pick all the time, but at the same time, I'm not going to say that hey, cherry picking is bad or whatsoever. Don't get me wrong. I mean, like we have to understand that if we do have to like pick a few good points along the line, it has to be something along the line. Hey, the thing does seems to make sense, or the thing seems to like is correct, and then after that you put out a proper thing. But at the same time, why I say cherry picking can also be a problem in a way is that sometimes people when they kind of like cherry pick, often more than not they do not pick up the right point. They kind of like just choose whatever they feel they think is correct, and then they just throw it out of the window. The thing is, right, at this point of time, what you guys have to understand is that sometimes when we look at things, right, when I tell people like you have to do your own research along the line, is that hey, it's not wrong to do a proper research. It is very, very important to do research whenever you are able to do so. So the thing at the end of the day is like when you do like like when you want to talk about, let's say a history of America along the line. I mean, like some people will be saying like, oh hey, there is the Federate or the Liberate or whatever the word that is along the line. It's like sometimes people always tend to add in their own idea, their own story, their own whatsoever. And at the time when you do research, right, it's very, very hard to know like what is true and what is false. Because when even at this point of time, right, in this era or even in the past, there is something what we do not all aware is misinformation. And often more than not, cherry picking in cherry picking, right, even when you do a research, right, people tend to cherry pick only those information they think is fit in their own narrative, their own story, their own propaganda, their own ideology, or whatever you think that is. But then again, people always tend to cherry pick even the bad information or misinformation just to fit their own story. At the end of the day, is sometimes we have to understand like, do we have to like ensure that is that story true, or is that story just being outright just being straight out misinformation or false information? We do not know. At the end of the day, sometimes it's like when people put up information, let's say for example, if a game that is like supposed to be about ASEAN, and then I don't know where people add in a black as the main character, where the black people is going around killing all the ASEAN, and people don't understand that there is something wrong with that, and people just say, hey, just a game along the line. But people really didn't really go and understand that hey, that is what people trying to push. It's like, and then of nowhere people just defend that race or trying to go against that other race other along the line. It's like, hey, people don't see the main issue, and people will be like, oh hey, that's is oh, you're being racist or whatever. That's just being not like, in a way I would say it's narrow-minded, or in the Chinese word I would definitely say the frog in the well. If you guys are really wanting to know, like there is a word called frog in the well, do check it out. There is a lot of different story about it, and this is really something like I'm giving you guys a homework to do, is that which story of the frog in the well will you guys take a look in. The thing is, right, sometimes it's like people always do go to the point of like cherry picking, and cherry picking can be something like people just trying to come up with ways to deny thing even, and it's really kind of funny that I actually did a video about the 4 key phase to madness, which is basically one of them is being like coming out with weird reasoning to justify their mean. And the funny thing is, right, when you come and think about it, right, why would people come up with weird reasoning? It's just basically they are just trying to try pick points that help to facilitate their own reasoning that does not even make sense in the first place. I mean, like, let's say for example, that if we go with the word like, oh, is sex a good thing? There will be some people saying like, hey, it's not a good thing. There will be also at the same time some people talking about, hey, it is a good thing. I mean, like, if sex is not a good thing, then when they come out with reason, it's like because there is rape along the line, or it is bad for the health along the line, or there is HIV along the line. I mean, like, if you see like if people got HIV, then obviously I can understand like sex is not a good thing along the line. But at the same time, if you add rape is not a good thing, and then what is rape and sex a thing in the first place? I mean, like, if it involves sex in a way, yeah, I can understand. But if you say like pick up all the weird reasoning along the line, then people will be like, hey, what the hell are you talking about? Obviously, it's just like the point I just point out, people always come up with weird justification to prove their point. But at the same time, I also can't really say that it is something wrong with this world, because the thing is, right, even when I do my research and do a lot of my random chat throughout to this point, there is something that I always tend to have to be very, very careful when I pick my source. Because the thing is that sometimes when I pick my source, that some people will say, hey, you're also cherry picking along the line. Dude, sometimes when you give like two different sources, the only thing is that when you look at the whole scenario, it's like, is the source reliable? That's the one thing you have to ask yourself before you put up a point. But yet at the same time, not everyone tend to look at the whole scenario and say, hey, is correct or wrong at the same point. A lot of people tend to know that when I put up a random chat, one of the things that I always tend to be very, very careful is that, hey, if I put up a random chat, you gotta have to say that you understand that there is a something that I look, you can take it with a huge pinch of salt and throw the salt at the screen that you need to. But at the end of the day, it is something that is out there. And often more than not, there are times when I do give like two sides of the coin or the center of the coin or many perspective of the coin. Is that we have to understand that, like, even when when I say I put up the skill, I have to look at both side story objectively. If there is a little bit of bias on my end, that you have to understand that it's just that when one side had convinced me, I will lean to that side. It's just that I'm like something like a skill. I mean, like, we all human like a skill. It's like when people choose something and we believe it, we would just stick to that and we will become biased. And it's very, very hard to remove. And even when people throw a lot of facts on us to try to balance up the skill, it's just that sometimes you know, like we are those people, we are call them the old rusty skill, where they just tilt to one side and they never tilt to the other side because they can't thing. And that's the reason why I call them the flop in the world. Just to give you guys a little bit of content about what is called a flop in the world, it's actually a Chinese saying called 井底之蛙, or in other words, it's called 坐井观天. What actually it means is that those people is in a simple term is called narrow-minded or unable to get out of their own bubbles. So in a way, their view is very, very narrow. So let's say, for example, like if you are in a floor and you are in a well, what do you see when we say we look at the sky? Obviously, we would say, oh, we all look at the same thing, that is the sky. But can we be so sure that in that well, will you be able to see the sun? Are you sure that there won't be a tree blocking your view along the line? Can we be saying that the water in or your own safety spot is like something that is going to be like telling you a lot of the story in the whole world? I mean, like it's really like just saying that you are being constant in your own point and that you aren't willing to accept other point, and that is something I call denial mode. I mean, like, I'm not saying like, hey, do I deny everyone at this point of time? I mean, like, I would definitely admit that there are times I would deny other facts or whatever if the point does not make sense. But on the other hand, when there is valid point and whatsoever, people tend to deny it. It just means that they are very narrow-minded and they think their view is correct. Which at the end of the day, you can't really blame them if they feel that whatever they see is correct. I mean, like, the funny thing is that if I give you a very nasty example of like, hey, if we say that all black are being close to each other and they won't defend their own race without even begging, and even if the person they defend is a POS, hey, that's just me being, the people will just care I'm being racist along the line. But if I go along the line, I was saying that, hey, even if there is black people who is defending a POS, there are also other black people calling out their POS. So at this point of time, you can understand that, hey, it's not all black that is doing along the line. I mean, like, this is an example. You guys, there will be also people taking whatever I say out of context, and that will be something I call again back to cherry picking. But at the end of the day, it's just that something we have to understand that when you do a lot of research, or when you do a lot of understand or trying to understand like the source or whatever, is that people at this point age and time or era, if in my own words, is that we tend not to look at a lot of things objectively or take our time to sit down and think and understand a lot of points. Because when we say like cherry picking, people always tend to look at whatever they feel is right and they just pick whatever they feel. Because cherry picking in the most simple term is that if you go and ask people who is harvesting, they always tend to pick up the best cherry out there to give it to you or sell it to you along the line, because they want you to eat the best cherry out there. But what happened to those bad cherry? Obviously is that sometimes those bad cherry maybe actually turn out to be the cherry that you may be looking for, and we can't be so sure whether that is the case. There are times when people tend to not realize that the whole scenario is something that we may be overlooking, and people just say that, hey, it is what it is along the line. But at the end of the day, it's like I mentioned, do we actually look at the bigger picture? Will we look like, hey, there are as much like if we look at earlier that I mentioned like, about the black scenario, if we actually look in another perspective, if there's people who defend the POS, but at the same time, there's also other people calling that POS out, it just means one thing. But if we add a race to it, people will just say, hey, people start talking about it. Or if you add woman or male gender basically in or LGBTQ into it, people will start making noise about it. So at the end of the day, sometimes cherry picking is just basically telling people like you add a propaganda idea and people just make a whole hoo-ha over it. And even though when you look at the whole story, it just back to like from how I look at it's just that there are rotten egg and or bad people that is using things to cover themselves out, and people just think, oh, they are correct along the line, but not realizing that in the whole picture, what they are looking is actually not what they think. And people just write on it, not realizing that they are being used or whatsoever. And this is one of the things that as a content creator, you want to be very, very careful. And I mean, like at the end of the day, people will be like saying like, what does it have to do? Yes, you have to understand that cherry picking, I mean, like if you want to like say like if there is racism in the whole damn world, yeah, I mean like go ahead, we are not stopping you, because it is something that everyone should address. But at the end of the day, people don't tend to not realize that racism doesn't exist in one sphere. There is racism in gaming community, there is racism in VTuber community, there is racism within the YouTube community along the line. But why do people only call out one part of it, not realizing that they just drag every people in? And even if you remove one from one community, you can't deny that are also racism all over the world. You are not solving the whole issue, you're just only solving the small little issue at the end of the day. So at the end, when we look at the whole picture, it's like, hey, we are not solving the main issue, and people just say that, oh, that's not what the issue is. And then you'll be like, what's the main issue? It's just basically everyone will be just taking into their own bubble, not realizing that they are hurting other bubble at the same time, and they just feel like, oh, as long as their bubble is safe, they are fine. This is really something that this world should really have to be very, very careful. I mean, like even when I put out my random chat, right, a lot of people who realize that when I put out random chat, unless there is indication of joke or things that I feel like there is something iffy about it, you tend to hear about me pointing those that there is such a thing, and then I'll say another point of how people think that, I mean, like this is one thing that a lot of people tend not to realize, that sometimes when you look at things, you have to understand that it's many perspectives to a story. There is a lot of things that people can understand from different view. I mean, like let's if you are a person who understand religion, it's like, hey, why do religions have so many diversity within it? It's just that people tend to look at it in different point of view, and people just stick to their belief and thinking that, oh, whatever they see, they are correct. And when you look at the whole picture, when you look all the way back to the main point, no one look at the main issue. They just think whatever they see is correct. It's just back to the point, like when I say that you look at if I put up a giant die in front of an audience, and I tell everyone to look at the die and say the number they think is correct, they will just say that, oh, some people will say it's one. If those who see one, they will think they are correct because they see one. Some people who see 6, they will say, oh, 6 is correct. Or some people will look at 3 and say 3 is correct, but not realizing that from their end, whatever they see is not as the whole picture. And with the reason why sometimes when I do random chat, right, I mean, like it can be taken as a randomization to things I say, but often more than not, when you actually look at and listen carefully, there is a lot of story to the start of the story. There's a lot of things that we tend to miss out along the line. And even if I give you an example, like let's say for example, if you are going a walk in a park, when you go to the walk, when you're going for a walk in a park, have you ever wondered, like, have you actually looked in at the floor that you're walking on? Have you looked at the surrounding, maybe the tree, or maybe people walking around, or maybe birds or dog or cats, whatever that is? Like, have you ever wondered and looked around carefully? I mean, like if you are cycling or you are just running, yeah, you just tend to look at the front until when something big happens, and then you just turn and look at it, not realizing that you have missed out a lot of things. So often more than not like cherry picking or fraud in the world or whatever, it's like what I'm trying to say, that you have to be very careful about things you see, because whatever you see may not be what you it turned out, and you may be missing out on many small detail. Often more than not, cherry picking is really something that we only pick up only the bigger picture that we think it is, but not realizing that the thing that we pick up tend not to be the case that we are looking for. Which is the reason why when I give out the advice on the previous advice was that you have to do research, you have to understand the whole thing. Is that sometimes when you look at one source, a lot of people tend to think that, oh, the source I think is correct, but not realizing that it can be fake, it can be misinformation, it can be AI generated along the line, or even people adding their own propaganda along the line, not realizing that when you look at the whole story, there is issue on it. Like this is one of the things that sometimes when I do my research, I have to be very careful, but at the same time also give out my own based on my experience, my own idea, my own knowledge along the line, if there is. And at the same time, you also, at the end of the day, do people understand it? I mean, like, the one of the things that I always say in my live stream or my video is that we all learn something new every day. It's just that, will we accept that? Will we deny it? So when you do like doing research, do make sure that even if you do want to cherry pick, make sure that you have to do your research properly. Understand that are you able to take in different perspective along the line? Will you understand the whole different story of the thing? Like if people say if the people are denying the truth, or if people is telling a lie, can you be so sure that are you going to take the extra mile to understand the full story? Obviously, in this era, I've seen a lot of people not able to go beyond that, and not realizing that when you look at the whole picture, we are all just missing the main point. Everyone just deflecting and then just go to and talk about one point they think is correct, and at the end of the day, we are just back to square one. So it's really something that a lot of people need to understand, that sometimes, well, I'm not denying that cherry pick is wrong or right. It's just that sometimes the source that we do pick up have to be very careful, as well as understanding the fuller picture. If you can't do that, then I can't really blame you, because it is what you prefer to do. And at the same time, you have to understand, when you put up an opinion, when you put up a video, when you put up a sentence, sometimes if you cherry pick, if it's not based on truth, or there is something wrong with it and people talk about it, you are open out for criticism. So it is something that you have to be very understanding, and that if your ego is so small and your ego is or your pride is too big, that you can't accept any criticism, and even if people call you out for it and you just go and deny them, that's just basically you just having a small ego. You just can't accept it, and you really my advice for you is that best just stop being a content creator, go and heal out yourself, think, and then hopefully you can come back as a better person. But at the same time, at the end of the day, this is just my speculative thought, is just a random chat along the line. If you do have your own thought, you have your own idea or whatever, write in the comment below and we can discuss it further. If not, if you do like this video, don't forget to press the like button and subscribe for more random chat, and we will talk again at the next video or live stream. With that being said, hope you guys have a nice day or night. Bye.